Magandang buhay mga bata! Tara, samahan ninyo akong matuto kasama si
Teacher Aika, your online teacher. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell for more videos. Thank you! Matatag Curriculum, Mathematics Grade 4, Quarter 3, Lesson 3. Our topic for today is about reducing fractions to simplest form using GCF. This is Teacher Aika, your online teacher. Let's start! Learning competencies and objectives. Number 1, reduce fractions to simplest form. Number 2, compare dissimilar fractions using the symbols equals, greater than, and less than. Contents. Number 1, reducing fractions to simplest form using GCF. Number 2, comparing dissimilar fractions using symbols less than, greater than, and equals. Comparing dissimilar fractions using models and comparing dissimilar fractions. Day 1. Let's have first a short review. Using of number cards, give the common factors of the given numbers. 6 and 10, 8 and 12, 18 and 15, and 20 and 30. Let's answer. 6 and 10. Factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. Factors of 10, 1, 2, 5, and 10. Their common factors, 1 and 2. 8 and 12. Factors of 8, 1, 2, 4, 8. Factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Their common factors, 1, 2, and 4. 18 and 15. Factors of 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Factors of 15, 1, 3, 5, 15. Their common factors, 1 and 3. 20 and 30. Factors of 20, 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. Factors of 30, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. Their common factors, 1, 2, 5, and 10. After finding the common factors of each pair, tell me which one is the greatest or the largest. What mathematical symbols can we use when we compare numbers? The answer, we can use the mathematical symbols less than, greater than, and equals when comparing numbers. Let us try to answer. Number 1, 46 and 49? The answer, 46 is less than 49. Number 2, 245 and 205. The answer, 245 is greater than 205. Number 3, 1,400 and 1,400. The answer, 1,400 is equal to 1,400. Number 4, 989 and 9,818. The answer, 989 is less than 9,818. Number 5, 721 and 712. The answer, 721 is greater than 712. Number 6, 5,345 and 5,355. The answer, 5,345 is less than 5,355. For our lesson purpose, in our previous lesson, we explored what equivalent fractions are and how they are generated. Furthermore, we explored how to get the factors of a given number and the common factors of a set of numbers. This lesson is a prerequisite to the next lesson we will explore. Unlocking Content Area Vocabulary. In our lesson on common factors, we were able to identify which among the common factors are the greatest, hence the greatest common factor or GCF. And what is greatest common factor or GCF? The greatest common factor or GCF is the largest among the common factors of given numbers. It is also the greatest or largest number that can divide the given numbers without remainders. Subtopic number 1. Reduce fractions to simplest form using GCF. Identify which among the fractions is or are equivalent to the given fraction using models. Then, encircle the answer or answers. Number 1, 5/10 is equal to 1/2. Number 2, 2/8 is equal to 1/4. Let's try to analyze. For 5/10 is equal to 1/2, given the fraction 5/10, what are the common factors of the numerator and the denominator? The answer, the common factors of 5 and 10 are 1 and 5. Which is the greatest among their common factors? The answer, the greatest common factor of 5 and 10 is 5. If you divide both numerator and denominator by their greatest common factor, what fraction will you get? The answer, 5/10 divided by 5/5 is equal to 1/2. Can you still think of a common factor except one which can both divide the numerator and denominator of 1/2? The answer, none. When do you say that a fraction is in its simplest form or lowest term? The answer, a fraction is in its simplest form or lowest term if no other common factor can divide the numerator and denominator except 1. We call the numbers relatively prime. Numbers are relatively prime if they have no common factor except 1. Therefore, the lowest term or simplest form of a 5/10 is 1/2. 5/10 and 1/2 are equivalent fractions. For 2/8 is equal to 1/4, given the fraction 2/8, what are the common factors of the numerator and the denominator? The answer, the common factors of 2 and 8 are 1 and 2. Which is the greatest among their common factors? The answer, the greatest common factor of 2 and 8 is 2. If you divide both numerator and denominator by their greatest common factor, what fraction will you get? The answer, 2/8 divided by 2/2 is equal to 1/4. Can you still think of a common factor except one which can both divide the numerator and denominator of 1/4? The answer, none. When do you say that a fraction is in its simplest form or lowest term? The answer, a fraction is in its simplest form or lowest term if no other common factor can divide the numerator and denominator except 1. We call the numbers relatively prime. Numbers are relatively prime if they have no common factors except 1. Therefore, the lowest term or simplest form of 2/8 is 1/4. 2/8 and 1/4 are equivalent fractions. Let's have the worked example. Reduce the given fractions in simplest form. Let's see the following example. Number 1, given 4/10. The factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. Factors of 10, 1, 2, 5, and 10. Common factors, 1 and 2. GCF is 2. Fraction in simplest form, 4/10 divided by 2/2 is equal to 2/5. Number 2, given 15/25. Factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Factors of 25, 1, 5, and 25. Their common factors, 1 and 5. GCF is 5. Fraction in simplest form, 15/25 divided by 5/5 is equal to 3/5. Number 3, 11/33. Common factors, 11 is 1 and 11. 33, 1, 3, 11, and 33. Their common factors, 1 and 11. GCF is 11. Fraction in simplest form, 11/33 divided by 11 elevenths is equal to 1/3. Number 4, the given is 12/9. Factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. Common factors, 1 and 3. GCF is 3. Fraction in simplest form, 12/9 divided by 3/3 is equal to 4/3. Number 5, 1 and 9/18. Factors of 9, 1, 3, and 9. Factors of 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, and 9. Their common factors, 1, 3, 9. 1, 3, and 9. Their GCF is 9. Fraction in simplest form, 1 and 9/18 divided by 9/9 is equal to 1 and 1/2. Based on the given examples, how do we reduce fractions to its simplest form or lowest term? A. Factor the numerator and denominator of the given fraction. B. Identify their common factors. C. Determine the greatest common factor. D. Divide the numerator and denominator by their greatest common factor. And letter E. If both numerator and denominator are relatively prime, then the fraction is in its simplest form or lowest term. For our lesson activity, complete the table below. Do this in your notebook. Here are the answers for the lesson activity. Day 2. Subtopic number 2. Compare dissimilar fractions using fraction strips and or disc. Fraction scavenger hunt. The teacher will hide different pairs of color-coded fraction cards inside the classroom. Each group will find the pairs of dissimilar fractions written on color-coded papers. They will only look for the pairs of fractions based on the color assigned to them. Ask the pupils to list the pairs of fractions on a cartolina or manila paper and illustrate them by drawing either fraction, bars or strips, or fraction circle or disc. Then, each group will identify which fraction is greater. The table below may be utilized. Here's the activity for Group 1 White. And here is the answer for Group 1. For Group 2, yellow. And here is the answer for Group 2, yellow. Group 3, blue. And here is the answer for Group 3, blue. Group 4, red. And here is the answer for Group 4, red. Let's have the worked example. Name the fractions illustrated by each given. Then, compare using symbols greater than, less than, and equals. Here are the answers. Lesson activity, fraction dice game. Compare the fractions using symbols greater than, less than, and equals. For visual representation, fraction strips or bars or fraction circles shall be utilized. And here is the scoring sheet. Day 3. Subtopic number 3, compare dissimilar fractions. Ask the pupils to model the word problem using paper folding and coloring. Theon and Rafa bought the same chocolate cakes at the MATATAG bake shop. Theon sliced his cake into 8 equal parts and ate 2 slices, while Rafa sliced his cake into 4 and ate 2 slices. Who ate a larger portion of their cakes? Theon sliced his cake into 8 and ate 2 slices, while Rafa sliced his cake into 4 and ate 2 slices. Questions. Number 1. What fractions represent the portions eaten by Rafa and Theon? The answer: Theon is 2/8 and Rafa is 2/4. Number 2. Based on the models, who ate a larger portion of the cake? The answer: Rafa ate a larger portion of the cake. This means that 2/8 is less than 2/4, or 2/8 is less than 2/4. Number 3. What have you noticed with their numerators and denominators? The answer: they have the same numerators but different denominators. Number 4. Based on our previous lesson, how do you compare dissimilar fractions with the same numerators? The answer: the smaller denominator has the greater value when comparing dissimilar fractions with the same numerators. Worked example: aside from the use of visual representation, dissimilar fractions can be compared using different strategies. Let us do them one by one using the same given: 2/8 and 2/4. Strategy number 1. Finding equivalent fractions of the given with the same denominators. 2/4 times 2/2 is equal to 4/8, which means that 2/4 is equal to 4/8. Since 4/8 has the same denominators with the given 2/8, we can say that 2/8 is less than 4/8. Hence, 2/8 is less than 2/4. The teacher may give other equivalent fractions of the given with the same denominators. 2/8 is less than 4/8. 4/16 is less than 8/16. 6/24 is less than 12/24. It is evident from these examples that we can generate several equivalent fractions with the same denominators that will give the same results when comparing fractions. After getting the equivalent fractions of the given with the same denominators, what have you noticed with the kinds of fractions they will be? The answer: getting the equivalent fractions of the given with the same denominators is the same as changing the similar fractions to similar fractions without changing the given fractions' values. After changing the similar fractions to similar fractions, how do you compare? When the fractions are similar, simply compare their numerators. The bigger the numerator, the greater its value. Strategy number 2. Using illustrations or models, it is easier to identify if a fraction is either less than 1/2, equal to 1/2 or greater than 1/2. However, without using visual representations, how can we easily or classify the fractions? Let us look at the following. 2/8 and 2/4. For fraction equal to 1/2, which is equal to 1/2? The answer, 2/4 is equal to 1/2. What have you noticed with the numerator and denominator of a fraction equal to 1/2? The answer, the numerator is always half the denominator. Which fraction is less than 1/2? The answer, 2/8 is less than 1/2. What have you noticed with the numerator and denominator of a fraction less than 1/2? The answer, when a fraction is less than 1/2, the numerator is noticeably less than half of the denominator. For instance, the fraction 2/8, the numerator 2 is less than half of the denominator 8. This is evident as half of 8 is 4 and 2 is less than 4. Therefore, we can say that a fraction is less than 1/2 if the numerator is less than half of the denominator. Since 2/8 is less than 1/2 and 2/4 is equal to 1/2, therefore 2/8 is less than 2/4. For fraction greater than 1/2, which fraction is less than 1/2? The answer, when a fraction is greater than 1/2, the numerator is noticeably greater than half of the denominator. For instance, the fraction 5/8, the numerator is 5, is greater than half of the denominator 8. This is evident as half of 8 is 4 and 5 is greater than 4. Therefore, we can say that a fraction is greater than 1/2 if the numerator is more than half of the denominator. Day 4. Strategy number 3, using cross multiplication. In our lesson on equivalent fractions, we could determine and check whether the given fractions are equivalent by cross multiplication. We can use the same strategy when comparing fractions. Let us try using the same examples. 2 times 4 is equal to 8 is less than 2 times 8 is equal to 16. 2 times 4 is equal to 8 and 2 times 8 is equal to 16. Therefore, 2/8 is less than 2/4. Let us compare the following fractions using the 3 strategies. Number 1, 4/6 and 7/9. Number 2, 3/5 and 2/6. Number 3, 6/12 and 5/8. Example number 1, 4/6 and 7/9. Strategy number 1, 4/6 is less than 7/9. Strategy number 2, 4/6 is greater than 1/2. 7/9 is also greater than 1/2. If both fractions are greater than 1/2 or less than 1/2, they can be compared using either strategy 1 or strategy 2. If both fractions are equal to 1/2, they are equivalent fractions. Strategy number 3. Cross multiplication. 36 is less than 42. Example number 2, 6/12 and 5/8. Strategy number 1. Therefore, 6/12 is less than 5/8. Strategy number 2. 6/12 is equal to 1/2. 5/8 is greater than 1/2. Therefore, 6/12 is less than 5/8. Strategy number 3. 6 times 8 is 48. 5 times 12 is 60. Therefore, 48 is less than 60, or 6/12 is less than 5/8. Lesson activity: compare the given fractions using the symbol greater than, less than, and equal. Write the correct symbol inside the box found in the second column. Show your solutions using the 3 strategies. Here's the given fractions: strategy 1, strategy 2, and strategy 3. Do this in your notebook. Answers for the lesson activity. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Learners' takeaways. The teacher will guide the pupils in completing this table. Key ideas or concepts. What I've learned from the discussion. Concepts that are somewhat confusing, and concepts I totally don't understand. Here's the key ideas. First, reducing fractions to simplest form. Second, comparing fractions using models. And third, comparing fractions using different strategies. Reflection on learning on the importance of this lesson to one's daily life. Question A. How can the lesson on reducing fractions to simplest form and comparing the similar fractions be useful in your daily life? Question B. Cite an instance when understanding how to compare would be helpful. Reflection on learning on the conduct of group activities. Question A. When doing the activities, the similar fractions, scavenger hunts, and fraction dice game, what did you do to ensure that tasks were fully completed and finished ahead of time? B. Why is it important for each member of the group to have a contribution during the activities? C. What values have you gained from these activities? Formative assessment. Identify the GCF of the numerator and denominator of each fraction. Then, express each fraction in its simplest form or lowest term. Formative assessment answer for part 1. Part 2, compare the following fractions using the symbols less than, greater than, and equals. Illustrate them using any of these models. A. Fraction disc or circles. B. Fraction strips or bars. And number lines. Then show another solution using any of the 3 strategies discussed. Formative assessment answer for part 2. And that wraps up today's lesson. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in.